Hi, I'm Barrett Morrison.
I'm Brandon Hamilton.
This is Phil the Flamingo.
And that's COVID Karen. And we are Bionic Fitness. We just wanted to touch base with everybody during this time of this crazy pandemic and get you thinking about your health and your fitness. We see a lot of videos coming out for home workouts for people from gyms and from personal trainers, which is fantastic. I think it's really great to have those resources and to make sure that everybody is keeping their fitness regime up during this crazy time.
Helps to stave off the cabin fever as well.
The thing though is we want to make sure that people are following the right people, right? And listening to the right advice. In Canada, the regulations around personal training and fitness are a little bit loose, and we want to make sure that people have the right and correct information when following these videos, when hiring a personal trainer, when going to a personal training or fitness session, and make sure that you have the right information at hand.
And you stay healthy and uninjured.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to talk about is qualifications. So if you are following someone on social media who's a personal trainer, that's great. Or if you're going to see a personal trainer or you're going to a group fitness studio, then we want you to get to know what their qualifications are. And what we mean by that is, what certifications do they have? What knowledge base do they have? Are they able to help you? Do you have any injuries as well that needs a greater knowledge? If so, you should ask these people for their qualifications, and you should do a little research around those qualifications, around those certifications. So that's important. Get to know who's teaching you.
For sure. We're going to follow a few reasons why this is really important, right? The first one is that we've all heard the phrase, no pain, no gain. That is super false. That's not something we should be following.
Yeah.
There's a difference between muscle burning during an exercise versus pain or joint pain. We really want to make sure that the pain is not present. Your body tends to tighten muscles up around the presence of pain, which can compress and damage your joints and body further. Long-term. So we want to make sure that we're not doing that.
Can cause long-term injury and even acute injuries. And we don't want anybody to get injured.
That's right.
As well, what is really important too is form and posture. So we want to make sure that you are balancing any compensation patterns that you may have from, say, sitting at a desk. And as well that you are aware of proper form and using which muscles properly in each exercise.
We're going to be putting out a series of compensation pattern videos that kind of teach you about what muscles and joints compensate for others and how that can affect you and harm you long term. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen and that everybody knows what they're doing and is doing the exercises correctly.
Another thing to think about too when you're working out is programming order. So you generally want to work from larger muscles to smaller muscles, and you want to think about working opposites if you're doing supersets, as well as if you're doing multi-joint exercises or single joint exercises. You always want to work bigger muscles, say a squat, legs, and say pair that with chest or back. And you want to move through your workout to smaller muscles, say biceps and triceps and shoulders, and then of course finishing it all off with abs.
There are some more advanced programming techniques where people do superset the same muscle group back to back, but that's something that we can kind of tackle at a later time. I think for the majority of people, the advice that Barrett just gave was fantastic and sound. Also, we want to make sure that you're not fatiguing your abs out in the beginning or in the middle of your workout. We're seeing a lot of personal training videos or exercise videos where ab work is being done in the middle or at the beginning of the workout. The reason why that's really important to avoid is because we want to make sure that your abs are functional and strong and supporting your spine and body throughout the large muscles and throughout all of your workouts, right? If you're doing a squat, you need to use your abs. If you're doing a lunge, you need to use your abs. This is relevant for almost every exercise, and so we want to make sure that you're not fatiguing your abs out so you're unable to do so at the beginning, which is why we leave all of our ab work to the end of the workout. We don't fatigue the abs out until the very end, and because you've already been using them throughout the workout, it's going to take less effort to fatigue them out at the end. So you have to do a little bit less work on the abs because they're already going to be partially fatigued. Yeah.
There are some exceptions, like if you're doing a circuit and you have one exercise which is abs in the middle of the circuit, that's not going to fatigue them too much. And as you go through that circuit, you will notice that your abs are not going to function as well towards the end in other exercises, but that's fine as long as you're not exhausting them in the middle of your workout.
You'll see in our warm-up video, we do activate the abs in the warm-up. There's a difference between activation and exhaustion though, so we'll explain that later.
Another one is time under tension that we want to talk about. So the idea that you are moving explosively through exercises or really quickly through exercises is not great. You want to build that time under tension. You want to make sure that you are using those muscles to their full capacity for each rep or each exercise that you're doing.
Just like being quarantined for 2 weeks. That's some time under tension. All right, some common misconceptions that we see in fitness. Number one, the first one, and I think one of the more important ones is you hear people say you don't stretch before workout. This is false. This is absolutely not right. If you're tight and your range of motion is being inhibited by tight muscles and you're not able to move your body properly, then jumping into a workout, especially lifting heavy weights or doing something very challenging, this can compress your joints again in a really negative way, right? We want to make sure that your body is open, that you are able to move, and you can achieve those ranges of motion throughout your workout. And if this means static stretching at the beginning of your workout, then you should do that. Should you follow it up with a warm-up to make sure that your joint fluid and your heart rate and your blood is flowing? Yeah, you should do that for sure. But stretching is a really important part of preventing injury during workouts.
Another thing that we hear a lot is that, oh, my lower back is sore. It just means that it needs to be strengthened. That's another fallacy. If you have a sore or tight or overstrained muscle, you need to stretch it out. It generally means that it's overworked and overused, and it's generally compensating for a lack of strength in another set of muscles. Lower back would be a lack of strength in your glutes and your abs. So if you feel like your muscles are tight and sore, you generally need to stretch them, and then you probably need to strengthen another muscle in that compensation pattern.
This is a big problem for people who sit for a living. So if that's you, we're going to tackle that again, and I want you to pay attention. You should not be living with lower back pain.
Exactly.
Another misconception that we see is knees past toes. Your knees should never go past your toes. That's wrong. If you try to get to the very bottom of a squat, your knees are going to naturally go past your toes. If you try to walk up some stairs, your knees are going to naturally go past your toes, right? This is an old 80s bodybuilding misconception that was a corrective for a problem that we'll get into later, but your knees naturally will go past your toes. That's how your body works, and if you want to center your balance, those knees need to. Just like your butt goes backwards, your knees goes forward. That way your weight is nice and centered.
The main thing that you want to think about, or the main thing that the knees past the toes was trying to address, is muscle activation. So if you primarily just move your knees forward when you're in a squat, that generally means that your quadriceps are going to activate first rather than your glutes. When you're doing a squat, you always want to make sure that your glutes are activated and being used. And this leads us to our next point, which is muscle activation awareness. So you need to be aware of which muscles you're using and which muscles you should be using in an exercise. So like we said, using your quads primarily in a squat is not great. You want to have those glutes activating and working well. You are going to use your quads, but not as much as you might think.
Quads naturally work in most exercises, then they will kick in. It's counterbalancing out with the opposite muscle groups, namely abs and glutes. That's going to be really important in most exercises, and again, we'll go through that more later. The last thing we want to tackle is breathing. We want to make sure that everybody is not holding their breath, that they're breathing nice and properly, that the airflow is going in and out of their lungs, and oxygen is replenishing in those cells as they're working out, right? The nervous system is mostly autonomic, which means that we don't have control over it. The one place that we do have control over it through is breathing, right? This is why singers and yogis, Pilates instructors, anybody who meditates or works out at the gym, really focuses on breathing, because it's a really important thing to do. When you hold your breath for stability, that's called the Valsalva maneuver. It's really unsafe, and a lot of people end up passing out when lifting heavy weights doing this. We want to make sure that our nervous system is happy and that we're breathing and everything is functioning correctly.
Your oxygen is an important source of energy for your body, and you don't want to starve your body of that energy source.
Just keep breathing and breathing and breathing.
Yeah. That's about it for now, guys. We're going to come out with some more videos later, various things, some workouts, as well as some videos on compensation patterns and how to correct those compensation patterns.
We'll have a little ab workout to tack on to the end of your workouts too.
As well as some stretching and mobility workouts, or sorry, videos as well.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please reach out, let us know. We're happy to help. I know this is kind of a daunting, crazy time. We have lots of spare time though, so if you need any help, we're here to help you for sure.
You can see us on social media at Bionic Fit, which is our Instagram, or you can reach out to us at bionic.fitness.ltd@gmail.com.
And happy quarantining.
Yay!
All right, see you next time.
Take care.